Good morning, everyone. So first off, thank you so much for everyone that's watching this live and for everybody that's going back and watching it after it's been posted. One of the great things about YouTube is that it allows me to, we have these conversations over on Instagram and then we come back and have them here on YouTube. That way there's a record of all the great stuff and the content that we talk about. So this week I'm going to talk a little bit about plumbing. I don't know if any of you have ever plumbed a tank before. When I first started in the hobby, most of my tanks had hang-on back filters. There was really, hey, good morning. Wow. Somebody gave me some tips on how to do these things and like, don't interrupt yourself when you're talking. But people are on to say hi. So hey everybody, I'm really excited that you're here. But when I first started in the hobby, all my tanks had hang-on back filters. Didn't really just plug it in and stick it in the tank. It was good. No need to plumb anything. But now as I've progressed and as I've worked in the industry, my tanks are a little bit more complicated. This one behind me isn't too bad. It's just got pretty basic plumbing. But at work, so I work also in a public aquarium as a biologist and aquarist, and those systems are huge. The plumbing that's involved in them is mind-boggling still. So I figured I'd talk a little bit about plumbing and talk about some of the tips that were given to me along the way and how I learned about them. But first, some coffee and reef cell. Hopefully everyone's weekend was well. I spent the good majority of mine making water. I've got a big trash can that I make water changes for these tanks. Doing water changes, testing water, doing more water changes, making water for the next round. It's not really like a quick process, so it's like I dedicate a day to doing water changes and taking care of tanks. But that's okay. They're worth it. So, reef cell. I know I've been talking about reef cell. You're probably bored. I'm going to keep talking about it because I'm excited about it. I'm still seeing amazing growth in my nano tank. I need to figure out how to take good pictures of some of the zoanthids so that I can show you guys the growth that I'm seeing with those. Also, as I mentioned, I work at a public aquarium and I got permission from them to feed reef cell. Let's see if I can get it past my light. Nope. Okay, here we go. Come on, you can focus. To feed reef cell to our jellyfish. So we have Ephira. So Ephira are like tiny, tiny baby jellyfish. They don't even quite look like jellyfish yet, but they eat like 3 times a day. They need a lot of really good nutrition. And I was thinking to myself, reef cell, it's perfect. Like when we aren't able to produce enough food at the aquarium, the live food, I figured we're going to supplement with reef cell, and they have allowed me to do that, and it's pretty exciting watching these little jellyfish grow. So I don't know if anybody else has done tests using reef cell with jellyfish. If you have, I would love to hear about it. Let's see, I didn't do this in the last video, so I'll do it in this one. So this reef cell comes in 2 sizes. This is the small. It's a powder. As you can see, it comes with a little instruction book, and I just had this out. Trying not to make a huge mess. Do it. Okay, so this is the spoon that comes with reef cell. One little, like the center part of the spoon, once you fill it up, which is really not a lot, it's going to feed 30 gallons of reef tank. So my little 20-gallon nano, this is going to last me a really long time. It's not quite full anymore because, like I said, I took some and I was feeding the jellyfish at work, and obviously I've been feeding my tanks here at the house. So it's not full, but again, this is going to last you a really long time. And recommendation, if you buy this and you will use a little scooper spoon, once you take it out, tape it to the top. Every time I open and close it, I make a big mess. But great stuff. if you're looking for a new coral food to try, you know, if you just want to switch things up, if you want to see what else is out there on the market, give Resale a go. Plumbing. So you can see behind me, I've got a little bit of plumbing hanging out up here. A little fancy fill. Oh, hard to hold it still so you can see it. So that's, when you close this, there's a ball in there that rotates. Ugh. This one hasn't been used in a while. So this is called ball valve. A lot of times, I feel like this is probably one of the most common valves you're going to see in plumbing, especially like average home aquariums. You know, I've got some pieces of PVC up here. I've got some flex line. But the reason I wanted to talk about it is because I feel like for a lot of people, especially if you've never had any experience with plumbing, it can be very intimidating and kind of scary if you don't know anything about it. And I felt that way at first, but one of the best tips that I was given, the first guy that hired me to work, take care of fish, he told me, Hillary, always follow the flow. I'm like, what? It sounds like the dumbest thing, but follow the flow. You can get a long way, like especially complicated plumbing in your house, in your aquariums. If you go somewhere new, say you're taking care of a friend's tank while they're on vacation, you're like, I don't know what's going on. Follow the flow. If you just, like, we know, all right, here's my returns. That's where the flow goes. If you cut it off, flow's gone. If I am in my sump and I'm doing a good job keeping it clean, which I feel like everyone should keep their internally and externally keep their tanks clean, because that's how you're going to know if you've got a problem, if you got a leak. You might have salt creep, you might have mineral deposits on the outside of the tank. So that's a good indicator that you've got an issue. And it goes along with going with the flow, like follow the flow, go with the flow. And actually, in this tank, I had some connectors that had come loose that I had to, in changing the filter socks and stuff, like things get jarred a little bit, they get wiggled, so I was like, oh, there's some salt creep there, it shouldn't be there. You know, kind of make sure that all of the other plumbing under the tank is good. And then I realized that that's exactly where that's coming from. So you tighten those connections and you follow the flow. It's really basic, not hardcore plumbing. I know enough of the basics as far as plumbing goes. So it's really not that hard. It's not very intimidating. You know, and if you have the confidence to do the basic stuff, you know, you can figure out like maybe where leaks are in your house. For example, you can't see it, but directly above me, there's a hole in my ceiling because the master bathroom in the shower is leaking at my house. So we had to go back through and recaulk the entire shower, and it's not leaking anymore. But, you know, prior to being in this hobby, I would have been like, I don't know, maybe let me call a plumber. But now I'm like, obviously there's a hole. I'm just gonna obviously there's a leak. I'm gonna cut a hole in the ceiling and like stick my head up there. And you know, if you do, if I had a better stability for this camera, you know, I can look straight up and I can see the plumbing and I can see that there is mineral deposits on the PVC that's directly above me. So I know that there's a water leak. And if I follow that up, I can figure out where it comes from. So, good morning. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. So, I want to hear about your experience with plumbing. Have you ever had to deal with it with your aquarium? Do you have hang-on bag filters? Do you, have you ever drilled a tank? Now I know how to drill a tank. I've assisted in drilling tanks before, but I've never had to drill any of my own tanks. I've mentioned in the past, most of my tanks, when I get them, are like either ready to go. I got my little Innovative Marine reef tank in there, and that was all, like, I didn't have to do anything. I just had to kind of like screw stuff in. But like this one came, it was ready to go. I've got this, let's see if I can casually rotate. So I've got this big 180 over here that probably will have to be drilled. We'll see. I shouldn't mess with the camera. Okay, let's see. Drilled lots of tanks, never had an issue. Insanely stressful. Yes, absolutely. And some of the, like, when you got to put the water on it and like hold it, just enough pressure but not too much pressure. Got to go slow. You can't go fast. It's very nerve-wracking. It's not. I would much rather pay somebody to do that, but I can do it if I need to. I'm trying to think what other cool sorts of plumbing stuff. I didn't really think this through. I'm like, oh yeah, let's talk about plumbing. And all I've got is go with the flow, or follow the flow. But really, so at work, there's these huge systems. You know, some of these like massive tanks and aquariums have multiple sand filters on them. You know, we were doing backwashes on them this week, and that's a lot of valve manipulation. And you know, the first thing every time when I'm learning a new system at work, they're like, all right, so tell me how the water flows. I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is easy. It goes in through the top and comes out the bottom. All right, well, we're gonna do a backwash and reverse that. So what stuff do you need to manipulate to get that to go in reverse? I'm like, okay, and it's very logical. If you think about it, I'm like, all right, well, this is how water goes. This is how I need it to go. This is what I need to do. So if you kind of keep that mindset, then it's not as bad. And one tip that I will give you that I've seen in the past, not tanks that I've plumbed, but somebody else has plumbed and I've come in behind them to take care of the tank. What's the difference in these? Make sure, especially when you're doing like return plumbing, that one, not only your pump can handle the water volume and can manage that, but also that the PVC that you're using is the same size. That's huge. I mean, think about this is just an example, but like think about the difference in water volume that this one's gonna have versus this one. So it's really important when you're plumbing to make sure that you plan everything out, do step by step. Yeah. So I'm trying to think of other common mistakes I've seen in tanks that are plumbed. Something else to think about if you are doing a new project, and I might rethink about all this and do another video on plumbing and building a tank, is plan it out in advance, kind of draw it out and make it easy for you, because I can't tell you how many tanks I've taken care of and I get in there and I'm like, who built this? What were they thinking? Like, did they have to clean it or did they just build it for somebody and then leave? There's a system that I've dealt with recently that you go to change the filter floss in it, and it's so the water drains directly through these 3 pipes that are connected to a big, like 3 plastic pieces, and you have to lift all of it up. It's not a flexible, it's a PVC, so you've got to like bend the whole piece of PVC that's got a whole bunch of different connectors to get all the filter floss out. It's a pain in the butt. So think about actually having to get in there and using it when you're plumbing a tank. That's something that I hear a lot. Like people complain like, oh, I don't know. Actually, I want to say it's Long Island Fish and Reef. They recently on their Instagram posted a great before and after photo of a tank. Somebody had plumbed and the people contacted them. They're like, look, somebody else built this tank for us. It needs some help. And they went in and replumbed it and it's beautiful. So I highly encourage you. They're over on Instagram. Island Fish and Reef, I believe is the name of it. They're on New Life Spectrum's Instagram page. So definitely go check a look at that. That's pretty cool. Yes, see, so I use PVC and flex pipe for my big system in case I had to move. Yes, that's an excellent point. You know, we all hope we're not going to have to move again, but let's see. So the first, when you're learning, you do things the wrong way and you learn the hard way. So the first tank that I plumbed, I had to replace all of the PVC. It was bad. But this tank, I've moved this one 3 times now. Everything has got connectors, so I just have to unscrew everything, and then when I get back, you know, I might have to in the overflow, I might have to replace like 3 inches of PVC, if that, but I've come a long way. That's a good point. Bye, Frank. Frank has decided that since he's up early for Monday morning lives, he needs extra food. He'll probably get it too. He's so spoiled. All right, so enough of me talking about Frank. I want to hear your experience with plumbing. Give me your tips. Let me know what has worked the best for you, what has not worked. I feel like I'm always saying this, what you've learned the hard way. But again, plumbing it so that you can take things apart and put them back together again easily. So yeah, comment below. Thank you so much to everyone who joined me for this live stream, and to everyone that's watching it afterwards. I always enjoy getting your comments afterwards. Thank you so much, guys.